Ladies and gentlemen, I feel something shifting in the atmosphere. Somebody in this room has been waiting, wondering, praying and crying, God, will I find the one? And I came to tell you your waiting season is not in vain. When God shows you your soulmate, it's not just romance, it's divine alignment. It's not just love, it's purpose. It's not just attraction, it's destiny. So if you're ready for a revelation that will change your life, somebody shout, I'm ready. When God shows you your soulmate, it's never on your schedule. It is never when you think you're ready. It is never when you have planned for it. It happens in the divine rhythm of God's perfect will. And that is where the challenge lies, because we are people who love control. We love to know what's next. We love to map out our lives, and we love to dictate the terms of our blessings. But let me tell you something, God is not moved by your timeline. He is not in a rush just because you are lonely. He is not going to shift his divine plan because you are tired of waiting. You see, what we call waiting, God calls preparing. What we call delayed, God calls development. And what we call unanswered prayers, God calls not yet, because I love you too much to let you settle. So many of us get desperate in the waiting season. We start to believe the lies that say, maybe I missed my chance. Maybe there's nobody for me. Maybe I should just say yes to whoever shows interest because I don't want to be alone. And that is how the enemy creeps in. That is how we end up in relationships that are distractions instead of destinations. That is how we find ourselves attached to people who were never assigned to us in the first place. And then we blame God when our hearts break. But God is saying, I never sent them. You chose them because you didn't trust me to give you my best. See, when God is preparing you for your soulmate, He is also preparing your soulmate for you. You're not just waiting on them, they're waiting on you. And if you are still walking around with wounds from your past, if you are still broken from what happened before, if you are still carrying baggage from past relationships, if you are still insecure, unsure, unhealed, God is not going to bring you His best while you're still in a state where you would mishandle the blessing. Because let me tell you, a soulmate is not just a partner, they are a purpose mate. They are a destiny connection. They are someone God is trusting you with. And He will not put something sacred into the hands of someone who is not ready to handle it. So if you are in a waiting season, stop looking at your empty hand and start looking at your full potential. Stop staring at the empty seat next to you and start asking, God, what do you want to do in ME before you bring them? Because sometimes we think we're waiting on God, but God is actually waiting on us. He's waiting for you to heal, waiting for you to mature, waiting for you to stop repeating the same cycles, waiting for you to let go of toxic patterns, waiting for you to build your purpose, waiting for you to step into your full identity in Him. Because when you do, when you finally become the person God created you to be, that is when the doors start to open. That is when alignment happens. That is when God says, N-O-Do, you're ready. And when it happens, when God finally reveals that person to you, it won't be forced. It won't be confusing. It won't be a struggle to make them fit into your life. It will be divine ease. It will be supernatural confirmation. It will be peace that surpasses all understanding. Because when it is God, you won't have to chase it. You won't have to convince them. You won't have to lower your standards to keep them. You won't have to lose yourself to love them. They will fit into your purpose. They will align with your destiny, and they will be the answer to the prayers you prayed when you thought God wasn't listening. So don't settle. Don't rush. Don't let impatience rob you of God's best, because what He has for you will not pass you by. Stay in position, stay in faith, stay in expectation, because when God shows you your soulmate, you will understand why He made you wait. And you will be grateful that you did dot. When God shows you your soulmate, the first thing you must understand is that it will not always come in the package you expected. We live in a world where people have created an image in their minds of what their soulmate should look like, how they should sound, what career they should have, what background they should come from. We create checklists and standards based on what we think is best for us. But the danger of this is that when we become so fixated on our preferences, we risk overlooking God's divine selection. Because let me tell you something, what you want and what you need are not always the same thing. God does not choose your soulmate based on how tall they are, how much money they make, or what kind of car they drive. He is not concerned with the surface level attributes that the world teaches us to prioritize. God is concerned with alignment of values, alignment of purpose, alignment of vision, alignment of hearts. He is concerned with the character of a person, not just their charisma, because charisma can charm you for a moment, but character will sustain love for a lifetime. Beauty will fade, but a godly spirit will only grow stronger. Attraction may draw you in, but alignment will keep you together. Some of you have been so caught up in chasing a type that you have completely ignored the person God has sent. You've been dismissing people based on your own limited vision when God is trying to connect you with someone who will elevate your destiny. You are waiting for someone who fits your personal wish list while God is preparing someone who fits your purpose. And if you don't open your spiritual eyes, you might walk right past your blessing because it didn't come in the form you expected. Look at the story of Ruth and Boaz. Ruth did not set out looking for a husband. She was in a season of obedience, servanthood, and faithfulness. She was simply following where God led her, working in the field, minding her assignment, and it was in that space of purpose that Boaz saw her. She wasn't chasing him. She wasn't sitting around complaining about being single. She wasn't comparing her life to other women who had husbands. She was focused on what God called her to do. And because she was positioned correctly, God allowed her to be seen by the one who was called to cover her. Some of you have been frustrated because you feel like nobody sees you, nobody recognizes your worth, nobody is approaching you. But let me ask you this, where are you positioned? Are you operating in your purpose? Are you serving in the place God has assigned you? Because when you are aligned with God's plan, the person He has for you will recognize you without you having to chase after them. A soulmate is not found through desperation. They are revealed through divine positioning. And let me warn you about something. When God is about to show you the right one, the enemy will send distractions. He will send people who look good but lack spiritual substance. He will send relationships that feel exciting but drain you spiritually. He will send counterfeits who mimic what you think you want but fail to provide what you truly need. And if you are not discerning, if you are still prioritizing preference over alignment, you might fall into a relationship that satisfies your flesh but starves your soul. That's why you must be spiritually mature enough to discern the difference between the God-ordained connection and the distraction. A distraction will pull you away from your purpose, but a soulmate will push you deeper into it. A distraction will feed your insecurities, but a soulmate will remind you of your identity in Christ. A distraction will require you to shrink yourself, to dim your light, to compromise your values just to keep them. But a soulmate will challenge you to grow, to evolve, to become everything God has called you to be. So stop chasing what looks good and start seeking what aligns with your spirit. Stop worrying about whether someone checks off every box on your list and start asking, do they align with my purpose? Do they have the character to walk this journey with me? Do they bring me closer to God, or do they pull me away from Him? Because at the end of the day, alignment is more important than appearance. Purpose is more important than preference. Character is more important than chemistry. When God shows you your soulmate, you will realize that everything you thought you wanted was just a fraction of what God had in store. You will understand that what you thought was best for you pales in comparison to what God had planned all along. And when that moment comes, you will be grateful that God ignored your wish dad, gave you what your soul truly needed. When God is preparing you for your soulmate, He is not just getting them ready for you, He is getting you ready for them. Many people pray for the right person to come into their lives, but they fail to ask themselves, am I ready to receive what I'm asking for? God will not send a blessing into unprepared hands. He will not put a divine relationship into the hands of someone who is still carrying wounds from their past, still operating in brokenness, still moving in fear, or still holding on to patterns that would destroy what He is trying to give. Before God presents you with your soulmate, He first works on you. There is a reason some people keep experiencing the same cycles in relationship. They keep attracting the same kind of people, going through the same disappointments, facing the same heartbreaks, and wondering why nothing is changing. It is not that there are no good people left. It is not that love isn't for them. It is that they are not yet in the position to steward what they are asking for. God is not going to send you a whole, healed, and purposeful partner while you are still struggling with baggage from the past. He is not going to bring you someone who is ready to build when you are still holding on to patterns of self-sabotage. If you are still entertaining toxic cycles, still dealing with insecurities, still unsure of who you are, and still defining yourself by past wounds, how will you handle it when the real thing shows up? Many people think they are waiting on God, but in reality, God is waiting on them. He is waiting for you to heal. He is waiting for you to break free from cycles of dysfunction. He is waiting for you to learn how to be whole on your own before you try to merge your life with someone else's. Because love is not about two incomplete people trying to complete each other. Love is about two whole people coming together to build something greater. If you do not know your worth when you are single, you will still struggle with insecurity when you are married. If you do not know your identity in Christ when you're alone, you will not magically discover it just because someone loves you. That is why preparation is necessary. Some of you have been frustrated with your waiting season, but instead of asking, God, when will I find my person? Start asking, God, what do you want to work on in me before you bring them? Because if you enter a relationship unhealed, that relationship will not fix you, it will only expose you. Relationships have a way of revealing everything you tried to suppress, everything you didn't deal with, and everything you thought was hidden. That is why God works on you first, because He wants you to thrive in love, not struggle in it. He does not just want you to find a partner. He wants you to have a healthy, stable, purpose-filled relationship. And that means He has to refine you first. When you are in a season of preparation, it will feel like God is stripping things away from you. He will remove certain people. He will close certain doors. He will block you from certain relationships. Not because He is punishing you, but because He is protecting you. He sees what you do not see. He knows what is ahead. He knows what you need, even when you do not understand it. And He will not allow you to settle for less just because you are tired of waiting. Sometimes the preparation season feels lonely. It feels like nothing is happening, like God has forgotten about you. But let me tell you something, God is always moving, even when you cannot see it. He is shaping you, molding you, pruning you, and strengthening you so that when the right person comes, you do not ruin what He has given you because of unresolved issues. Some of you have been praying for love, but the truth is, God is answering your prayer by preparing you first. He is allowing you to face certain challenges, certain lessons, and certain growth moments because He is setting you up for something greater. You cannot carry old wounds into a new relationship and expect it to flourish. You cannot bring past trauma, old disappointments, and unresolved pain into something God is trying to bless and expect it to be successful. That is why healing is not optional. It is necessary. Because when you are healed, you love differently, you communicate differently, you move differently, you attract differently. When you are whole, you do not settle for half-hearted love. When you are whole, you do not entertain people who do not align with your purpose. When you are whole, you recognize the difference between a distraction and a destiny connection. God wants to prepare you because what He has for you is too valuable to be placed in the wrong hands. And what He is preparing you for is too sacred to be handled with immaturity. If you are serious about finding the one God has for you, then you must also be serious about becoming the person God has called you to be. That means letting go of old mindsets. That means breaking free from unhealthy attachments. That means allowing God to heal your heart and shape your spirit so that when the time comes, you are ready to receive what He has prepared for you. When God is preparing you, He is not punishing you. He is not delaying you to hurt you. He is delaying you because His best requires preparation. And when He finally reveals your soulmate, you will understand why He took His time. You will understand why He said no to certain people, why He blocked certain relationships, why He closed certain doors. Because when the right one comes, it will be clear, purposeful, and aligned. And in that moment, you will be grateful that God did not give you what you wanted before you were ready to receive what you needed. When God reveals your soulmate, it will not come in chaos, confusion, or uncertainty. One of the greatest signs that something is from God is peace. Not just an emotional peace that comes and goes, but a deep, undeniable, unshakable peace that anchors you in certainty. It will not be a love that makes you anxious, wondering where you stand. It will not be a relationship that keeps you in a cycle of highs and lows, constantly questioning whether they are truly for you. When God sends the right person, you will not have to beg for clarity. You will not have to convince them to see your worth. You will not have to chase them, persuade them, or compete for their attention. They will recognize you because God has prepared them to see you. There is a difference between a love that is forced and a love that is ordained. Forced love is exhausting. It requires you to fight for basic things like respect, honesty, and commitment. Forced love keeps you on edge, constantly overanalyzing every conversation, every text, every action, wondering if you're enough for them. Forced love makes you feel like you have to shrink yourself, lower your standards, or tolerate behavior that does not align with what God has for you. Forced love is draining, inconsistent, and unstable. But when love is ordained, it flows, it feels safe, it feels covered. It brings peace, not anxiety. It is not built on games, manipulation, or uncertainty. It is built on mutual understanding, effort, and divine alignment. Some people have mistaken familiar dysfunction for love. They think love is supposed to be chaotic because that's all they've ever known. They think that if they're not constantly fighting for attention or proving their worth, then it's not real. But real love, God's love, doesn't work like that. When God sends someone into your life, they will not confuse you, they will confirm you. They will not play games with your emotions. They will be intentional about you. They will not make you feel like an option. They will prioritize you, because what God ordains, He sustains. And if you are constantly forcing something to work, then maybe it was never from Him to begin with. One of the biggest mistakes people make is holding on to relationships that God has clearly shown are not for them. They see the red flags. They feel the lack of peace. They know something is off. But instead of walking away, they try to force it to work. They try to change the person. They try to justify the inconsistencies. They try to convince themselves that if they just love harder, wait longer, or tolerate more, things will change. But let me tell you something. God does not require you to beg for something He has ordained for you. If you have to constantly chase them, convince them, or struggle to make them love you, it is not from God. Some of you have been praying for God to reveal your soulmate, but the truth is, He's already shown you what is and isn't for you. You're just not listening. You keep asking for a sign, but He's already given you signs. He's already allowed you to see their true character. He's already shown you that they are inconsistent. He's already revealed that they are emotionally unavailable. He's already given you moments where your spirit felt uneasy, where something in you knew it wasn't right. But instead of obeying, you're holding on to potential instead of reality. You're trying to build a future with someone who is not even solid in the present. And the longer you hold on to what isn't meant for you, the longer you delay what is meant for you. God is not going to bless a relationship that He never called you to. He is not going to force someone to love you the way you deserve. He is not going to keep you in a situation that is damaging your peace, your self-worth, and your destiny. But He will let you choose. He will let you stay in something that is draining you if that is what you insist on doing. He will let you settle if you refuse to trust that He has better. But He is always whispering, always nudging, always trying to lead you away from what is breaking you and toward what will bless you. And when you finally let go of what is not meant for you, you make room for what is. The right person will not bring confusion into your life. They will bring clarity. They will not make you feel insecure about where you stand with them. They will reassure you. They will not leave you questioning whether or not they truly love you. They will show you through their actions. Love is consistent. Love is intentional. Love is clear. And when God sends the right person, you won't have to chase them. You will simply align with them. One of the biggest lessons you can learn is this: what is meant for you will not have to be forced. When something is from God, it will not come through manipulation, deception, or struggle. That doesn't mean it will be perfect or without challenges, but it will not be toxic, unstable, or one-sided. You will not have to compromise your self-respect, sacrifice your peace, or lower your standards just to keep them in your life. You will not have to beg them to communicate, to be consistent, or to prioritize you. Because when love is real, effort is mutual. Some of you have been stuck in situationships, waiting for someone to finally choose you, waiting for them to finally love you the way you deserve, waiting for them to stop being inconsistent and start taking you. So why are you waiting for someone to see your worth when God has already called you worthy? Why are you holding on to someone who is only half loving you when God has already prepared someone who will love you fully? Why are you wasting your time trying to prove your value to someone who doesn't appreciate it when the right person will recognize it effortlessly? The moment you let go of what you know is not for you is the moment God will reveal what always was. The moment you stop trying to make something work that is not supposed to work is the moment you will see God's hand move in your life. The moment you stop accepting less than what you deserve is the moment you will align with who you were always meant to be with. Stop forcing what is not flowing. Stop settling for inconsistency. Stop holding on to people who are emotionally unavailable. Stop convincing yourself that love has to be painful to be real, because the love that God has for you is not rooted in confusion, instability, or heartache. It is rooted in peace, alignment, and divine confirmation. And when it finally comes, you will look back and thank God for every door He closed, for every person He removed, and for every situation He rescued you from. Because when you finally experience a love that is pure, intentional, and ordained, you will realize that everything you lost was simply making room for everything you were meant to gain. One of the most beautiful things about divine love is that it is purposeful. When God brings two people together, it is not just for romance or companionship. It is for His purpose to be fulfilled. That means your union will not just be about making each other happy, but about building something greater than yourselves. Your relationship will be a reflection of His love, a testimony of His goodness, and a partnership that strengthens your walk with Him. The love God has for you is not ordinary, it is extraordinary. And when He sends the right person, they will add to your life in ways that go beyond surface level attraction. They will sharpen your spirit. They will encourage your growth. They will challenge you to become the best version of yourself. The world has taught people to look for love in all the wrong places. It has convinced many that they need to search, chase, and settle just to find someone. But when something is truly from God, you don't have to force it. You don't have to keep proving your worth or fighting for attention. When the right person enters your life, it will be clear. They will not make you feel insecure. They will not make you question your value. They will not come into your life only to leave you confused about where you stand. Love that is ordained by God will not require you to beg for the basics. It will be intentional, mutual, and full of clarity. One of the most dangerous things you can do is settle for a relationship that is not from God out of impatience. So many people have allowed loneliness to push them into relationships they were never supposed to be in. They have ignored red flags, justified toxic behavior, and compromised their standards, thinking they could make something work that was never meant to last. But when you force something that God never intended for you, it will always come with unnecessary pain. The wrong person will drain you, distract you, and delay your destiny. The wrong person will pull you away from purpose rather than push you toward it. The wrong person will introduce confusion into your life instead of peace. And no matter how much you try to fix, change, or hope they will get better, you cannot turn a distraction into a destiny connection. God is not withholding love from you. He is protecting you from the wrong kind of love. He sees what you cannot see. He knows the future. He knows what is in a person's heart before they ever show it. And sometimes his protection looks like closed doors, unanswered prayers, and endings that don't make sense at the moment. But when he removes someone from your life, it is never to punish you. It is to position you. He is positioning you for what is greater, for what is aligned, for what will bless you rather than break you. And if you can trust his process, you will look back and thank him for every no, for every delay, and for every relationship that did not work out. The enemy wants you to settle. He wants you to believe that love will never come, that God has forgotten about you, that your standards are too high, and that if you don't accept what's in front of you, you will miss your chance. But God does not operate in desperation. God is not in the business of giving you half-hearted love, temporary commitment, or unstable relationships. He has something better. He has something divine. And the person he has for you will not only love you, but they will love God first. A person who truly loves God will love you correctly. They will not play with your heart. They will not be reckless with your emotions. They will not manipulate you or take you for granted. Because when someone is connected to God, they understand the responsibility of loving another person God's way. They will pray with you. They will cover you. They will be faithful to you, not just in action, but in spirit. Their love will reflect the heart of Christ. Pure, patient, kind, and selfless. You do not have to compromise to be loved. You do not have to settle to be chosen. You do not have to change who you are to be accepted. The right person, the one sent by God, will love you as you are, but will also inspire you to grow into who God has called you to be. They will not be intimidated by your purpose. They will support it. They will not compete with your calling. They will encourage it. They will not bring confusion into your life. They will bring confirmation. One of the biggest mistakes people make is praying for a godly partner while still entertaining people who are not in alignment with God's plan. If you are serious about receiving what God has for you, you must also be serious about removing what is not meant for you. God cannot bring his best into hands that are still holding on to counterfeits. If you are still attached to the wrong person, if you are still entertaining relationships that drain your spirit, if you are still settling for less than what you deserve, you are delaying the very blessing you've been praying for. God will not bless you with what you refuse to make room for. Love is not about just finding someone, it's about aligning with the right one, and that requires faith, patience, and trust in God's timing. It requires you to let go of fear, the fear of being alone, the fear of never finding love, the fear of missing your chance, because when God is involved, you will not miss what is meant for you. The right person will come at the right time, and when they do, it will not be a struggle. It will not be exhausting. It will not be full of doubt. It will feel God ordained. Some of you have been waiting and wondering if love will ever come. But instead of asking, when will I meet my person? Start asking, Lord, how can I prepare my heart to receive what you have for me? Because God is not just preparing them for you, He is preparing you for them. He is teaching you lessons. He is shaping your character. He is closing the wrong doors so you can walk through the right ones. And the more you align yourself with Him, the more you will recognize when His plan starts unfolding. When you meet the one God has for you, you will know. Not because of a dramatic love story or grand gestures, but because God will give you peace about it. It will be divinely aligned, spiritually uplifting, and purpose-driven. And when that moment comes, you will finally understand why God made you wait. Because what He has for you is not just good. It is God-ordained, life-changing, and worth every second of preparation. When God reveals your soulmate, there will be a deep sense of recognition, a knowing in your spirit that goes beyond physical attraction, beyond surface-level compatibility, beyond what the world calls chemistry. It will be a divine connection that transcends human understanding. This kind of love is not built on fleeting emotions or temporary infatuation. It is rooted in purpose. It is not just about how well you get along in the good times, but about how well you stand together through challenges. It is about how your spirits align, how your visions for the future intertwine, how your faith is strengthened through each other. Many people mistake emotional excitement for divine confirmation. They confuse passion with purpose. They assume that just because something feels good, it must be from God. But the truth is, not everything that feels good is meant to last. Not every strong connection is a God-ordained covenant. There are relationships that come into your life to teach you something, to refine you, to reveal parts of yourself that need healing, but they are not meant to be permanent. They are not meant to be your forever. A soulmate, the one God has for you, is not just someone you desire, but someone who is divinely designed for you. This means that their presence in your life will not just bring romance, but growth, accountability, and spiritual maturity. They will challenge you to be better, to rise higher, to step into your purpose with confidence. They will not pull you away from God. They will push you closer to Him. They will not distract you from your calling. They will walk alongside you as you fulfill it. This is how you know the difference between a worldly love and a God-ordained love. One is based on fleeting emotions. The other is built on divine alignment. But here's where so many people go wrong. They settle too soon. They meet someone who checks a few boxes, someone who makes them feel good in the moment, and they convince themselves that this must be the one. They ignore the warning signs. They silence the red flags. They force a connection that was never meant to be. And in doing so, they block what God truly has for them. Because you cannot receive what is divine while holding on to what is not. You cannot embrace the love God has for you while still entertaining relationships that drain you, distract you, and keep you in cycles of confusion. God is not the author of confusion. When he sends the right person into your life, it will not come with uncertainty, mixed signals, or manipulation. You will not have to constantly wonder how they feel about you. You will not have to beg for their attention or convince them to see your worth. The one God has for you will recognize you because their spirit will be aligned with yours. They will see your value, not just because of who you are to them, but because of who you are in God's eyes. They will honor you, not because of what you offer them, but because they understand love is not about taking, it is about serving, giving, and growing together in Christ. A relationship that is ordained by God will always have divine timing. It will not happen a moment too soon or a moment too late. It will come when you are ready, when your heart has been prepared, when your faith has been strengthened, when you have let go of every counterfeit, every distraction, and every fear that tells you you're running out of time. God is never late. He is never in a rush. He knows the exact moment when your paths need to cross. And when it happens, you will see why you had to wait, why certain doors had to close, why some people had to leave your life, why every delay was actually a form of divine protection. The problem is many people don't trust God's timing. They become impatient. They get tired of waiting. They look around and see others getting married, starting families, moving into seasons they long for, and they start to believe the lie that God has forgotten about them. So they settle, they rush into relationships that feel good enough instead of waiting for the one that is God ordained. They compromise their standards, lower their expectations, and convince themselves that maybe this is just how love is. But love that is built on compromise instead of conviction will always lead to heartbreak. Love that is forced instead of flowing in divine order will always come with unnecessary struggles. God will never require you to settle for less than what He has planned for you. If He has placed a desire in your heart for a love that is true, intentional, and spiritually fulfilling, He will bring it to pass, but only when you trust Him enough to wait for it. The enemy will try to tempt you with counterfeits. He will send distractions dressed as the one. He will try to convince you that waiting is foolish, that everyone else is finding love while you are still alone. But do not fall into the trap of impatience. Do not let loneliness push you into something that will cost you your peace, your purpose, and your spiritual alignment. One of the greatest signs that someone is your God-ordained partner is the way they make you feel about yourself in God's presence. Do they inspire you to seek Him more? Do they encourage you to trust Him more? Do they love you in a way that reflects the patience, kindness, and selflessness of Christ? Or are they pulling you away from Him? Are they making you compromise your values? Are they creating confusion in your life instead of clarity? Love should never cost you your relationship with God. If you have to sacrifice your faith to keep a relationship, then it is not a relationship sent by God. The one God has for you will not just be a lover. They will be a partner in purpose. They will walk with you, pray with you, fight battles with you, and stand firm in faith with you. They will see beyond the surface, beyond what the world sees, and they will cherish your soul. They will love you in a way that heals, nurtures, and elevates. They will not be perfect. No one is, but they will be perfect for you because God designed them to complement your destiny. So if you are still waiting, do not lose heart. Your waiting is not in vain. Your prayers are not unheard. Your longing is not over. God sees you. He knows the desires of your heart because He placed them there. And the same God who created the stars, who formed the universe with His words, who orchestrates every detail of your life, has already written your love story. It is not up to you to rush it, force it, or figure it all out. It is simply up to you to trust Him And when it finally happens, when God's perfect timing unfolds, when the person he has for you finally enters your life, you will look back and realize why it had to be this way. You will understand why certain things didn't work out, why some people had to leave, why waiting was necessary. Because what God has for you is always greater than what you thought you wanted. And when he brings your soulmate into your life, it will be worth every single moment of patience, every single prayer, every single season of preparation. Because when love is truly from God, it is not just good, it is divine. When God reveals your soulmate, it will come with a supernatural sense of peace. Not just excitement, not just attraction, not just the thrill of something new, but peace. A deep, unshakable peace that settles in your spirit, confirming that this connection is not just a product of your desires, but a manifestation of God's divine plan. This peace is what separates a God-ordained relationship from a worldly one. The world teaches people to chase passion, to follow feelings, to prioritize chemistry over compatibility. But when God is the foundation, love is not just about passion, it is about purpose, partnership, and divine alignment. Many people enter relationships based on what feels good in the moment without discerning if it is right for the future. They mistake emotional highs for divine confirmation. They assume that because the connection is intense, it must be meant to last. But intensity does not equal intentionality. Chemistry does not equal covenant. If a relationship constantly fills you with anxiety, if it brings more confusion than clarity, if it forces you to second guess your worth, your values, and your purpose, it is not from God. God does not send people into your life to bring turmoil. He sends them to bring confirmation, growth, and spiritual strength. When God sends the right person, they will not disturb your inner peace. They will protect it. They will not leave you feeling uncertain about where you stand, questioning whether they truly value you, wondering if you are enough. The right person will not play with your emotions, string you along, or keep you in a cycle of inconsistency. When love is from God, it does not require you to beg for clarity. The person he has for you will be intentional. They will pursue you with honor. They will love you in a way that reflects God's love. Patient, selfless, kind, and unwavering. So many people are in relationships that steal their peace because they are afraid of being alone. They settle for less than they deserve because they have convinced themselves that something is better than nothing. But when you accept a love that disrupts your peace, you are sacrificing your spiritual alignment for temporary companionship. And when you do that, you delay the very thing you've been praying for. Because God cannot give you his best while you are still holding on to something that is not from him. There's a difference between God's peace and the world's version of comfort. Comfort is what keeps people in relationships that no longer serve them. Comfort makes them hold on to people out of habit, out of history, out of fear that they may never find something better. But peace is different. Peace is what lets you walk away from what is not for you because you trust that God has something greater. Peace is what allows you to release relationships that drain you because you know that what is truly meant for you will never require you to suffer for love. The enemy wants to keep people trapped in relationships that look good on the outside but are spiritually damaging on the inside. He wants you to be distracted, to be so consumed with fixing, proving, and fighting for love that you don't even realize you are settling for less than what God has for you. The enemy will send counterfeits that mimic everything you think you want, but they will always lack the most important thing: peace. You will feel the tension in your spirit. You will sense the unease. And if you ignore it, if you push past the warning signs because you are desperate for love, you will find yourself attached to something that is only taking you further away from your destiny. Love from God does not require you to sacrifice your peace, your purpose, or your relationship with Him. The right person will make you feel safe, valued, and spiritually secure. They will not pull you into confusion. They will not lead you into temptation. They will not pressure you to compromise your values for the sake of keeping them. Instead, they will inspire you to grow, to seek God more, to build a life that reflects His will. And when that happens, when love is rooted in faith, it thrives in ways that human effort alone could never achieve. Some of you have been wrestling with relationships that do not bring peace. You have been forcing things to work, convincing yourself that if you just try harder, if you just love more, if you just fix this or that, then maybe things will fall into place. But let me tell you something. Love is not supposed to be a constant battle. Love is not supposed to feel like a never-ending war for attention, respect, or consistency. When something is truly from God, it will not leave you exhausted. It will uplift you. If you are questioning whether your relationship is from God, ask yourself, do I have peace? Not the peace that comes from moments of happiness, not the peace that comes from distractions or temporary fixes, but the deep, unshakable peace that only God can give. Because when something is from God, you will know. It will not leave you second-guessing. It will not keep you stuck in cycles of uncertainty. It will not require you to lower your standards just to keep the connection alive. God's peace is not something you find after the relationship has already begun. It is something that is present from the start. It is the foundation. It is the confirmation. And if you do not feel peace, that is already your answer. That is God telling you, this is not where I want you to be. Some of you are waiting for love and you are wondering why it hasn't come yet. You are questioning why you are still alone, why others are getting married while you are still waiting, why God has not yet revealed your person. But could it be that He is still protecting your peace? Could it be that He is still preparing you, strengthening you, removing the things that would hinder you from receiving what is truly meant for you? Because sometimes God's protection feels like delay, but it is actually His way of preserving your destiny. A love that is rushed is never stable. A love that is forced is never fulfilling. And a love that is not from God is never worth the cost of losing your peace. So if you are waiting, keep waiting with faith. Do not let the world's timeline make you believe you are behind. Do not let loneliness push you into something that is beneath what God has promised you. Because when love is truly from Him, it will not just look good, it will feel right in your spirit. You will not have to fight for basic respect. You will not have to chase consistency. You will not have to force someone to see your value. The person God has for you will recognize your work because God has already prepared them to receive you. They will love you with the kind of love that brings peace, not pain. They will cover you in prayer, not confusion. They will be a reflection of God's love, not a distraction from it. So if you are holding on to something that does not bring peace, let it go. If you are forcing a relationship that is filled with uncertainty, step back. If you are praying for God to show you a sign, maybe the lack of peace is the sign you've been waiting for. Trust that if God is asking you to release something, it is because He is preparing to give you something greater. When you finally meet the person God has for you, you will look back and understand why waiting was necessary. You will see why He closed certain doors, why some relationships didn't work, why peace was always supposed to be your guiding confirmation. And when you experience love that is truly from God, you will finally understand that anything that ever cost you your peace was never meant for you in the first place. When God reveals your soulmate, One of the clearest signs is that they will not only love you for who you are, but will also push you to grow into who God has called you to be. This kind of love is not passive, it is purposeful. It does not simply accept you as you are and leave you there. It challenges you, refines you, and strengthens you. It calls out the best in you, even when you do not see it in yourself. When God sends the right person into your life, their love will not be complacent. It will bring companionship. It will bring growth. There is a difference between a relationship that makes you comfortable and a relationship that makes you better. A comfortable relationship keeps you where you are, allowing you to remain in the same patterns, the same habits, the same mindset. A God-ordained relationship, on the other hand, pushes you into your destiny. It stretches you, it elevates you, it leads you closer to God. It does not let you remain stagnant. It does not let you settle for a lesser version of yourself. It will challenge you, but not in a way that drains you. It will challenge you in a way that builds you. Some people run from relationships that demand growth, because growth is uncomfortable. Growth requires you to confront yourself, to let go of things that no longer serve you, to rise above your fears and insecurities. But a true soulmate, the one God has for you, will not allow you to shrink back into comfort zones that limit you. They will see your potential. They will speak life into your dreams. They will encourage you when you doubt yourself. They will remind you of who you are when life tries to make you forget. They will not let you settle for anything less than your highest calling. When you are with the person God has for you, you will find yourself becoming stronger in your faith. You will find yourself growing in ways you never imagined. You will look back and realize that you are not the same person you were before they entered your life. That is how you know that this love is from God. It transforms you without breaking you. It refines you without damaging you. It stretches you without destroying your peace. A worldly relationship will often focus only on happiness, but a God-ordained relationship will focus on purpose. Happiness is fleeting. It is based on circumstances, but purpose is eternal. When God brings two people together, it is not just so they can be happy, it is so they can fulfill a mission together. A relationship that is truly from God is not just about two people. It is about what God wants to do through them. It is about the kingdom impact they will have together. It is about the lives they will touch, the faith they will strengthen, the purpose they will fulfill. The right person will push you toward your spiritual purpose. They will inspire you to seek God more, to pray more, to live in alignment with His will. They will not pull you into sin. They will not tempt you away from God's presence. They will not encourage behaviors that contradict your faith. Instead, they will walk beside you in obedience. They will stand with you in faith. They will remind you in moments of doubt that God is still in control. There will be seasons in your life when you will feel weak, when you will feel discouraged, when you will question your path. The person God has for you will be the one who covers you in prayer. They will intercede for you when you don't have the strength to pray for yourself. They will remind you of God's promises when fear tries to silence your faith. They will be a partner in both love and spiritual battle. Many people get caught up in relationships where they have to fight for attention instead of fighting for purpose. They chase people who do not truly see them, who do not value them, who do not nurture their growth. But when God brings the right person into your life, you will not have to beg for love, for respect, for consistency. They will be there because they are called to be there. Their love will be intentional. Their presence will be steady. They will not be in your life out of convenience. They will be there because God has assigned them to walk this journey with you. One of the ways you will know that a relationship is from God is by how it impacts your purpose. Does it make you more focused, more disciplined, more faithful? Or does it distract you, drain you, and pull you away from what God has called you to do? A soulmate is not just someone you love. They are someone who aligns with your destiny. They are someone who helps you become everything God designed you to be. This is why waiting for God's timing is so important. If you settle for a relationship that is comfortable but not purposeful, you may find yourself stuck in a situation that feels good but is not helping you grow. You may find yourself attached to someone who meets your emotional needs but does not challenge you spiritually. And while the world may say that is enough, God is calling you to something higher. A true soulmate will not let you give up on yourself. They will not let you stay in a place of fear, insecurity, or complacency. They will remind you of your greatness, not because they are trying to change you, but because they see in you what God has placed inside you. They will see your potential before you even step into it. They will call for things in you that you did not even realize were there. They will believe in your vision and your gifts and your purpose because they know that your journey together is not just about love, it is about destiny. A love that is truly from God will always lead you closer to Him. It will not compete with your faith. It will strengthen it. It will not be rooted in selfishness. It will be grounded in service and sacrifice. It will not just be about feelings. It will be about fulfilling God's plan together. If you are in a season of waiting, if you are wondering why God has not yet brought the right person into your life, ask yourself, am I ready for the kind of love that requires growth? Am I prepared for a relationship that does not just make me happy, but makes me stronger? Am I willing to wait for a connection that is not just about romance, but about purpose? Because when God brings two people together, He is not just thinking about their emotions, He is thinking about their impact. He is thinking about their assignment. He is thinking about the legacy they will leave behind. And if you are still waiting, it is not because God has forgotten about you. It is because He is preparing you for a love that is bigger than you imagined. When it finally happens, when you meet the person who challenges you, who pushes you, who sees you the way God sees you, you will understand why you had to wait. You will understand why certain relationships didn't work, why certain doors had to close, why certain people had to walk away. You will look back and realize that every moment of waiting was necessary. Because when love is truly from God, it does not just bring joy, it brings transformation, purpose, and spiritual fulfillment. When God reveals your soulmate, one of the most powerful signs is alignment. Not just attraction, not just shared interest, not just the ability to make each other laugh, but true divine alignment. Alignment in purpose, alignment in values, alignment in vision. The person God has for you will not take you away from your calling. They will walk with you in it. They will not contradict what God has placed in your heart. They will confirm it. They will not make you question your worth, your faith, or your dreams. They will protect them, nurture them, and help bring them to life. Too many people get caught up in relationships based solely on emotions. They think that because they love someone, it must be meant to be. But love alone is not enough. Alignment is key. If you love someone, but your purpose does not align, you will constantly feel like you're being pulled in opposite direction. If you love someone, but your values do not align, you will find yourself in a constant battle between pleasing them and honoring God. Love is not just about how you feel, it is about where you are going. And if you are with someone who is not heading in the same direction as you, no matter how strong the emotions are, the relationship will eventually break under the weight of misalignment. Alignment means that both of you are striving toward the same kingdom purpose. It means that when one of you is weak, the other steps in to lift you up. It means that when challenges come, you do not fight against each other, you fight together. It means that your vision for life, marriage, family, and faith are rooted in the same foundation, because a relationship that is built on two different foundations will always be shaky. But when both of you are standing on God's word, on God's promises, on God's plan, then no storm can tear you apart. When the right person comes into your life, they will not be threatened by your purpose. They will be drawn to it. They will not discourage you from your calling. They will push you deeper into it. They will not see your purpose as competition. They will see it as something to protect, support, and cultivate. Because when love is from God, it is not selfish. It does not seek to control, limit, or stifle. It seeks to edify, expand, and empower. This is why so many relationships struggle, because people enter into them before checking for alignment. They get caught up in emotions, in chemistry, in the idea of being with someone, and they ignore the deeper questions. They ignore the spiritual foundation. They ignore the fact that their visions for life do not match. And when the excitement fades, when real life begins to set in, they find themselves constantly clashing, compromising, and losing themselves. But when God brings two people together, they do not have to force alignment. It is there from the beginning. There is a deep understanding between them. There is a sense of unity in their spirits. They may have different gifts, different strengths, different experiences, but those differences do not separate them. They complement each other. They fit together like pieces of a puzzle, each one bringing something to the table that enhances the other. They do not compete, they complete. God is strategic in who He brings into your life. He does not send people just to fill a void. He does not send people just so you won't be lonely. He sends people who will align with your destiny. He sends people who will help you step into the fullness of who you were created to be. This is why it is so important to wait for alignment. If you settle for someone just because you don't want to be alone, you may end up attached to a person who pulls you away from your calling. But when you wait for the one who is truly meant for you, you will experience a love that strengthens you, not weakens you. The right person will see your growth as a blessing, not a threat. They will not try to dim your light so that they can shine. They will not be intimidated by your success, your faith, or your anointing. They will celebrate it. They will support it. They will push you forward when you feel like giving up, because they understand that your purpose is connected to theirs. They understand that your win is their win, that when you walk in alignment with God's plan, it does not take away from them, it elevates both of you. This kind of alignment does not just happen. It is not something you can create through effort, through manipulation, through trying to make someone fit who was never meant to be there. It is God orchestrated, it is spiritually designed, and when it happens, you will know. You will feel it in your soul. You will not have to force it, beg for it, or convince yourself that it is right. It will be evident in the way your spirits connect, in the way your purpose aligns, in the way your relationship leads you closer to God, not further away from Him. Alignment does not mean there will never be challenges. It does not mean everything will be easy, but it does mean that when difficulties come, you will face them together. It means that when obstacles arise, they will not tear you apart, they will make you stronger. Because a relationship that is truly aligned is not just built on love, it is built on purpose, on faith, on a foundation that cannot be shaken. So if you are waiting, if you are wondering why God has not yet brought the right person into your life, do not rush the process. Do not settle for temporary companionship at the cost of lifelong alignment. Trust that God is not just sending you someone to love. He is sending you someone who will walk with you in your destiny. Someone who will support your dreams, encourage your faith, challenge your growth, and love you in a way that reflects God's love for you. You do not need just any relationship. You need the relationship that is aligned with your calling, the relationship that strengthens your faith, the relationship that is built on a foundation of divine purpose. Because when you find that, when you experience that kind of love, you will finally understand why you had to wait. You will realize that every delay, every heartbreak, every closed door was God's way of protecting you from something that was never aligned with you in the first place. Do not settle for someone who only excites you in the moment. Wait for the one who aligns with your destiny for a lifetime. Do not chase after relationships that make you question your purpose. Wait for the one who will help you fulfill it. Do not give your heart to someone who only wants to keep you where you are. Wait for the one who will help you become everything God created you to be. When the right person comes, when the person who is truly aligned with you enters your life, you will see the difference, and you will understand why nothing else ever worked. Because God was preparing you for something far greater than you ever imagined. When God reveals your soulmate, one of the most undeniable confirmations is peace. Not just a fleeting sense of happiness, not just excitement or infatuation, but a deep, abiding, unshakable peace. A peace that settles in your spirit, that silences your fears, that quiets the doubts in your mind. A peace that tells you without a shadow of a doubt, this is the one God has chosen for you. This peace is not based on emotions. It is not the kind of peace that comes and goes with circumstances. It is not the fragile kind of peace that disappears the moment a challenge arises. It is a supernatural peace, the kind that Philippians 4:7 describes as the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding. It does not always make sense in the natural, but you can feel it in your soul. You know deep within you that this love is right, that this person is meant for you, that this relationship is not just something you want, but something God has ordained. When you are with the right person, there is no confusion. You do not spend your nights questioning whether they love you. You do not feel the need to constantly prove your worth. You do not live in anxiety wondering if they will stay or if they will leave. The person God has for you will bring clarity, not chaos. They will be consistent, not unpredictable. Their love will be secure, not shaky. Because when something is truly from God, it does not bring torment, fear, or uncertainty. It brings peace, assurance, and a deep sense of belonging. This does not mean that the relationship will be perfect. It does not mean there will never be disagreements or difficult moments. But even in the midst of challenges, there will still be peace. Even when you face obstacles, even when life tests your relationship, there will be an undeniable sense that you are in the right place with the right person at the right time. When a relationship is not from God, there will always be a lack of peace. You may feel uneasy, even when things seem good on the surface. You may find yourself wrestling with doubt even when the person is saying all the right things. Something inside of you just does not feel settled. And no matter how much you try to ignore it, no matter how much you convince yourself that it will get better, that uneasiness does not go away. Many people find themselves in relationships where they are constantly overthinking, overanalyzing, and second-guessing everything. They feel like they have to walk on eggshells, like they cannot truly be themselves, like they always have to prove something just to keep the relationship together. But when God brings the right person into your life, you will not have to fight for their love. You will not have to exhaust yourself trying to hold the relationship together. The love will be natural, effortless, and full of grace. It will be a partnership, not a battle. It will be a source of peace, not a source of pain. The enemy thrives in confusion. He loves to keep people stuck in relationships that drain them, distract them, and pull them away from God's purpose. He loves to create distractions that look like destiny, relationships that seem right on the surface, but deep down leave you feeling spiritually restless. But God's love, God's plan, God's design for your relationship is never confusing. It is never something that requires you to sacrifice your peace, your purpose, or your connection with Him. Some people stay in toxic relationships because they confuse familiarity with peace. Just because you are used to something does not mean it is good for you. Just because you have history with someone does not mean they are your destiny. If a relationship is truly from God, it will not feel like you are constantly walking through a battlefield. It will feel like you are walking in alignment with His plan. The right person will make your soul feel at home. You will not have to constantly question where you stand with them. You will not feel emotionally unstable, unsure of how they feel about you. They will love you with a steady, unwavering love. A love that does not fluctuate based on mood, convenience, or external circumstances. A love that reflects God's faithfulness. This peace is not just about how you feel when you are together. It is about how you feel even when they are not around. When you are in a God-ordained relationship, you will not feel an overwhelming fear of losing the person. You will not feel like you have to constantly perform to keep them interested. You will not feel like you have to hide parts of yourself to be accepted. You will feel free. Free to be yourself. Free to grow. Free to love without fear. A relationship that is truly from God will bring you closer to Him, not further away. It will encourage your faith. Not more confident in who you are, not more insecure. It will be a place of refuge, not of turmoil. It will add to your life, not drain you. It will align with God's promises, not contradict them. So if you are waiting for God to reveal your soulmate, ask yourself, do I have peace? Not just excitement, not just desire, but deep spiritual peace, because emotions can deceive you. Infatuation can blind you. Attraction can lead you down the wrong path, but peace will never lie. The presence of God will never deceive you. If you have been in relationships where you constantly felt anxious, uncertain, or unworthy, know this: God does not call you to live in emotional torment. He does not send you a soulmate who will make you feel like love is a battle you always have to fight to win. He does not give you a relationship that drains your spirit, makes you question your value, or fills your mind with doubt. God is a God of peace, and when He sends the right person into your life, that peace will be the loudest confirmation you need. You will not have to force what is meant for you. You will not have to beg for love that is divinely assigned to you. The person God has for you will be your safe place, your partner in faith, your encourager, your intercessor, and your strongest supporter. They will not just love you with their words, they will love you with their actions, with their consistency, with their presence, with their commitment to walk through life with you in faith and in peace. And when you finally experience this kind of love, you will understand why God made you wait. You will understand why certain relationships did not work out. You will understand why He closed doors that you once wanted Him to open. Because what He had planned for you was always greater. Because the love He designed for you was never meant to be confusing or chaotic. It was always meant to be anchored in His peace, His purpose, and His perfect plan. So I leave you with this. Do not settle for a love that costs you your peace. Do not chase after a relationship that makes you question your worth. Do not hold on to something God is trying to remove just because you are afraid to be alone. When the right person comes into your life, you will not have to force it, fear it, or fight for it. It will simply align. It will flow in peace, in purpose, and in the presence of God. Trust His timing, trust His process. Trust that He is not just preparing someone for you, He is preparing you for them. Because the love He has for you is not temporary, conditional, or fragile. It is a love that reflects His own heart. A love that is steady, pure, and divinely ordained. And when it finally arrives, when you step into the relationship that was designed for you from the very beginning, you will understand why nothing else ever worked. You will know, you will feel it, and you will finally be at peace.